welcome all y'all to the Sunday morning service. The People's Church of Divine Prophecy. Today's guest lecturer is Albert Bose, music performed by Ronnie Austin. We are located at 125 West International Drive, second floor of the Daytona Metaphysical Place store. Thank you.
Our service is divided into three parts. Our first section is a healing portion, and then we have an inspirational lecture, and then we will also have a demonstration of spiritual gifts. Now is when we will begin our healing portion of the service.
I think there's probably as many definitions of integrity as there is people. And I really like the word integrity, and I like the word empathy. Now, I said empathy, I didn't say sympathy. And some people think it's interchangeable, and I think it's opposite. Empathy has to do with plugging in, walking in someone else's shoes, learning by being humble, and learning through other people. Sympathy makes you sad because the other person's sad, and you're sad because they're sad. Now you're sad because they're sad. Now you're sad because they're sad. I'm not into that. I'm much more into the idea that each one of us is a student and a teacher. People tell me I intimidate them. And I've had people say, well, I'd really like to have a reading, but you scare me. And I said, what is there to be scared of? Well, I think you'll tell me something bad. I said, well, the way I work is I don't tell you what's bad, I tell you how to prevent it. Oh, that's scary. I don't understand that. You see, how many of you in this room have seen the TV program House? Hands? You haven't seen it? You should see it. I like that. I'm not sure I like the man, but I like that. You know why? Because it's to do with power. It's to do with creativity. It's to do with genius. It's to do with somebody that may not be socially correct, but he gets the job done. See, I kind of like that. I have some friends, believe it or not, and some of them bring me to tears. Why? Because of their integrity. I had a person that walked up to me and he said, well, you know, you live in this community. And I said, yes. He said, you know, you don't respect some of these people. I said, they haven't earned it. And he just looked at me with this very strange stare. But see, how can you respect if you haven't earned it first? I think you're supposed to earn it through your own actions. So I'm really into that. Now, close your eyes. Everyone try to close your eyes. Now, what does integrity mean? What does it mean to you? Does it mean you're putting on a good show? Does it mean you're trying to please someone? What does it really mean? I think it's a connection to God. That's the most powerful thing and the way I can explain it. You know why I associate it that way? Because of raw experience. See, I like that. Kind of like house. It's getting something done. When I was in the parapsychology research lab in Russia, I was invited there because of the book Visions of Time. I've seen people in there bucking communism, and that could mean death. When I was in the hospital, I counseled dying people, and that's when people's integrity comes to the surface. Do you believe that? Think about it. They know they're going to die. You know what the worst part of that is? Regret. Think about it. Here they lived their whole life to make money, to achieve things, to get other people's admiration. And then there at the end, they're going, what didn't I do? What should I have done? Well, there's some people who live with integrity. I have a friend, with no disrespect, I call him the Atkins diet, and with no disrespect. But you know, I have a friend who's very special. And I had a man in my neighborhood, in my community, that really hated my dump truck. Yeah, it's a big red dump truck. It's not really that big, it's only a 1 ton. But he really hated that truck. Do you know, one day I came home and I didn't drive up, but I walked to my house and I heard the sound. It went and I thought, what is that? A couple days later I went out and I looked at my truck and there were screws in the tires on my truck, all in a line. I thought, how did that happen? Well, you know that that's a screwdriver. An electric screwdriver like a drill. Somebody had drilled screws into the tires on my truck. Then of course they put water in the gas tank and sugar in the gas tank, and it's strange. But you know, I had this friend and he said, you know, you're having problems and I can help you. And I says, how is that? You can park your truck in my yard. Now, what do you think his wife would think of that? A dump truck in his front yard? Now, that may not seem much to you, but that meant something to me. When my dad had Alzheimer's, he walked up to me and just in private, without an audience, said, do you need help? I've got a little extra money. I've got a little extra time. Do you need help? See, I'll never forget that. When a man was dying, he asked me, teach me how to love. Teach me how to forgive, with tears in his eyes. See, this makes me humble. This makes me grow. I like that. See, I'm always seeking out teachers. And integrity is so important. Now, you think you're having integrity, but sometimes you're not. You're doing it for you. You're doing it for money or for approval or whatever. But you know what's so interesting? Is people who die and come back. That's what I love. Isn't that strange that I would love that? That they actually die and you get a chance to talk to them about it. It's a pretty humbling experience. Do you know, they act strange. They act different. They become extremely generous. So I used to be a tradesman. I went through four years of college to operate cranes. And I'm very proud of that. Now, that may have nothing to do with what we're doing here, but you know, if a crane operator makes one mistake, his career is over. Think about it. He makes one mistake, could mean something. It's kind of like an electrician. That's why they have integrity, because if they hook the wires up, your house burns down. If it's wired up wrong, it could burn down. So they have to be right. They have to do the right thing. And see, I really believe in that. And I'm not talking about doing what's right that makes people like you, but doing what's right that ends up right. See, a lot of people say, well, why did this happen? Why did God let this happen? Well, I don't think God let it happen or made it happen. It's that we're learning here. So what good would a school be if it didn't have a few bumps? Think about it. You know, in Scripture, in all religions, it tells you that in heaven, some of the people on the top here are on the bottom there. What does that mean? Well, I think the way I interpret it is that we don't always know how much love somebody has. No. Do you know, I think dogs are spiritual? Oh dear. A dog. But they know all about unconditional love. It's built in. It's hardwired. So that's what I'm into. I'm real passionate about that. And so if somebody comes to me for a reading, I'm very into strengthening what their needs are. Not placating, not making you like me, but making you like you. Because you know, you're one of a kind. There is no other person in the world like you. There has never been a you before. Ever. You might say, well, I believe in reincarnation. But that wasn't the same person. It wasn't the same body. It wasn't the same mother. It wasn't the same experience. You are unique. You're divine. Think about it. You have to be divine. If you have energy inside your body and it's never destroyed, that's divine. Think about it. How could you have energy inside your body and when you die it's gone? No, it's not gone. Energy is never destroyed. Physicists, scientists, theologians have proven that energy is never destroyed. In fact, they measure people when they die and they become lighter. Physically, they become lighter. So if this energy leaves you, where does it go? Well, I think it's recycled. To get back to those people who are dying and come back, do you know they change? They don't seem to care about the wood dash on their car. They don't seem to look at their wife's figure. They don't seem to look at things the same. They seem so loving. Why? Why weren't they loving before they died? Because they realize this is another dimension. This is just one dimension. Physicists will tell you there's many dimensions. And these other dimensions are what we're working for. We're not working for politics and for local acceptance. We're working for our soul. And people say, well, how do you believe in that? Well, I used to have a wellness center, and I was an ethical hypnotist, and people would come to me to try to remember where they lost something, or to, and I call it ethical because it has to do with being ethical. I don't hypnotize someone and make them into a dog and tell them to pee on the door or something. I don't do that. But I teach people, I show people that their mind is collecting everything. Do you know, if you come into my room and then you leave and you allow me to hypnotize you, if you allow me to do hypnotism, you remember the titles of the books, you don't remember even looking at them. You remember the number on a license plate that ran into a little boy 6 years ago. Now, why would your brain be collecting all this information? Because you're learning on a mental level and on a spiritual level. Your spirit is even seeing more. So when people die and they come back, a lot of them tell them the same story. There's this white light, and then going to the light, and then somebody comes, whether it's their mother, their father, or Jesus, or whatever, and they come and they say, you're not ready yet. You've got to go back. They go, no, I don't want to go back there.